Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're stripping back the ceiling tiles to look at a piece of hardware that claims to be a speaker, but frankly behaves a lot more like a computer. We are analyzing the Kramer CL-6D.
Yeah, it's a deceptively simple device. I mean, if you walked into a retail store or lobby and looked up, you'd see a standard white grill and assume it's the exact same analog setup we've used since the 70s.
But the architecture behind the cone is completely different. Usually installing ceiling speakers involves, a closet full of hot, heavy amplifiers and thick copper wire just snaking through the walls.
Right, which is messy and incredibly expensive to install. Our mission here is to understand how the sources detail the CL6D, deleting that entire infrastructure using two specific technologies, PoE and Dante.
Let's start with the connection. I'm looking at the specs for the back of this unit, and there are literally no standard speaker terminals. It's just a single Ethernet port.
Exactly, an RJ45 connector. This is where the paradigm shift really happens. First, you have PoE, or Power over Ethernet.
Which is standard for things like VoIP phones or security cameras. But can a network switch really drive a loudspeaker? I mean, we're talking about physically moving air here.
It absolutely can. The documentation shows this unit pulls up to 30 watts at peak directly from the network cable. That is enough to drive the 6.5-inch woofer and the tweeter to a really significant volume for background music or paging.
Wow. So you effectively eliminated the need for a local power outlet.
And the central amplifier rack, yeah, they're just gone.
Okay, so the switch provides the juice, but how does the music actually get there?
That's the second piece, Dante. Think of Dante as it's a digital language that routes uncompressed, high-quality audio over a standard computer network.
So it's kind of like VoIP, but for high-fidelity music?
Essentially, but with much lower latency. It turns the speaker into an addressable node on the network. It has its own IP address. You can just drag and drop audio flows to it from software anywhere in the building.
That is a huge leap from just plugging in a wire. But let's look at the hardware itself, because at the end of the day, it still has to sound good for you, the listener.
Oh, it does. You have a polypropylene cone for the low frequencies and a 0.75-inch soft dome tweeter for the highs. But the real magic is the smart internals. Because it has power and a brain, it has a built-in DSP.
A digital signal processor, meaning it mixes its own sound.
Exactly. It has an internal amplifier, a mixer, parametric EQ, limiters, all built right in. In a traditional setup, you tune the whole room at the amplifier. Here, you can tune one specific speaker.
So if one unit is stuck in a corner that artificially boosts the bass, you just cut the low end on that one single device.
Right. And looking at the specs, it has a dispersion angle of 106 degrees.
Which is very wide.
Yeah, it's a major efficiency metric. A wider dispersion means you need fewer physical speakers to cover a floor plan without creating quiet spots.
Now, there's one feature here that I think anyone who has ever managed a commercial facility will deeply appreciate. It solves the classic ladder of shame.
You mean trying to find which speaker's buzzing?
Exactly. Standing on a ladder, pressing your ear to 50 different ceiling tiles while people watch you, just trying to figure out which unit is broken.
The CL6D actually solves that with a Find Me tone. Because these are networked, you go into the software and trigger a specific noise on a single unit. You know exactly which one needs tuning before you even grab the ladder.
That is brilliant. And when you do get up there, the installation looks pretty painless. It uses a dog-ear clamp system for ceilings up to 2.36 inches thick.
Standard for drop ceilings, yeah.
Right, but it features front access wiring, so you don't even have to crawl up into the ceiling to adjust the connections.
Which is great because you really don't want to be messing around in the plenum space. That area above the ceiling is used for air return, so safety is highly regulated. You can't just shove a standard plastic box up there.
No, it's a massive fire hazard. The documentation notes this unit is UL 1480A compliant. It uses V0 flame retardant materials.
If you're a building manager, that certification is literally the difference between passing and failing an inspection. And visually, it blends right in. Comes with magnetic grills in both black and white to match the environment.
Let's quickly talk cost. The sources pulled pricing data from HDTV Supply. The MSRP is around $712, but it's listing at roughly $570 right now.
It's definitely a premium price tag per unit compared to a dumb analog speaker, but you have to offset that against the massive labor savings. No running heavy copper, no soldering, and you aren't buying big external amplifiers.
Plus, the customer service reviews for the vendor were really interesting. People weren't just reviewing the hardware, they were specifically praising the vice president of operations for his support.
Which totally makes sense when you're bridging the gap between IT and AV. You might need help configuring your network switch, not just physically mounting the speaker.
So zooming out to wrap this up, what's the main takeaway for you, the listener, from all these sources?
We are witnessing the death of audio cabling. The AV technician is basically becoming a network administrator. Sound systems are no longer just about acoustics. They are completely about IT networking and packet management.
It's incredibly efficient, sure. But I will leave you with this final thought. If your ceiling speakers are now essentially just computers sitting on your IT network, does that mean your lobby's background music could eventually get hit with ransomware or require a firewall update? Definitely something to think about.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.